You listen to this podcast because you like books, or maybe because you like learning, or maybe you just like the sound of my voice lulling you to sleep. If it's the first two, Audible has you covered. Too busy to read? Driving and don't want to run into another dog? Audible is a huge library of audiobooks where people read to you like you're a kid again. And guess what? You can try it out for free. Just go to readlearnlivepodcast.com/audible to sign up for your free trial today.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to read something that's like everything is wonderful and like the world is great because I'd be like, where are you living? Everything's really gone to shit lately. Um, so I think I think our goal, a lot of it is just like giving people some levity in it, and obviously it's not like a solution or um anything like that, but it's just like, yeah, it does suck, and like there are days that you just like kind of need a break and to laugh.
Hello and welcome to Read, Learn, Live, the podcast about improving yourself through literature. I'm your acclaimed host, John Monaster, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 24. We're back. I took a month off to explore the world, and I'm back, and the show is back, and I have a back, and you have a back, and we all have backs. As always, if you have ideas for books you'd like to see featured, or have authors you want to put me in touch with, you can reach me at jon@readlearnlivepodcast.com. Today, I'm delighted to have the opportunity to speak with author Chelsea Marshall and illustrator Mary Dauterman about their book, What Are We Even Doing with Our Lives? Chelsea Marshall is the lead animals editor at BuzzFeed, where her written and video content has amassed hundreds of millions of views. Yes, indeed, it is truly viral. Chelsea also had a history in television, having worked for The Colbert Report, SNL, and Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. In addition to running the successful animal section of BuzzFeed, she travels the country doing improv, hosting shows with headliners like SNL's Michael Che, and leading BuzzFeed's humor writing workshops. She has been profiled by GQ and Time magazine for her humor writing and flown across the country to lead a panel for CatCon and interview a surfing potbelly pig. She has a sassy Shiba named Hadley Bean, who has a beautiful face. Mary Dauterman is a Brooklyn-based creative who works in a variety of mediums. She is the author/illustrator of What Are We Even Doing with Our Lives and Dirty Library, two sarcastic picture books she made with two of her best buds. I hope you enjoy our conversation as much as I did. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Read, Learn, Live podcast. I am your host, John Monaster. I am here with Chelsea Marshall and Mary Dauterman, author and illustrator of What Are We Even Doing with Our Lives, the most honest children's book of all time. And I forgot to put children's in quotes. I'm doing it now because it is in the title. So this is a very strange book and silly and fun. So I'm excited to talk about it. So I don't know, Chelsea, Mary, tell us what the book is about. What's the deal?
What are we even doing with our lives is about just like modern day struggles is told through the lens of illustrated animals to lessen the blow of the reality that nothing means anything.
So it's a children's book, but it's for adults. It's about our lives. Why? Why did you do this? You could have just done nothing like everybody else, but you wrote this crazy children's book.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could have done nothing, but we decided it would be fun to do something. So we were kind of dicking around and working on this in bits and pieces for a few years before it became a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been kind of a fun thing. We were just like emailing back and forth and talking about. But then at one point we had to be responsible, and we got a book deal and we had to make it a real book.
Wow,
Yeah.
you got a book deal though. That's that doesn't happen to everyone. So congrats,
Thank you.
congrats on the book deal.
Thank you.
So so you talked about it for a sec there. Like you were emailing back and forth, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Like, but what was actually your process? So like, okay, you have this book deal. You have to actually make a book happen. How did you go about doing that?
So many Google Docs.
Yeah.
We kind of started from the place of like what are jobs in life right now, like what are people doing, and we had this list of like the most ridiculous jobs we could think of,
And then we kind of went back and tried to make it like a mixture of ridiculous and true because that's always more ridiculous. And then we kind of started breaking out like the characters, where they would be, places we wanted to put them, and building a story around that.
And then I feel like you'll like this because you did improv, but we like outlined the book and the oh crap, we outlined the book and we based off of an because I do improv or did improv for a while, and there's that improv game where you do have like I can't now remember the name of it, but you have like character A and B, and then A leaves, and then C comes on and has a different interaction with B and C. So it's kind of like baton toss or what I don't know sports.
Pass the baton?
Pass baton.
Sure.
The like relay race.
Relay race, yes.
And so you kind of experience different characters and with different people.
Yeah, isn't that how who was the guy that did Dazed and Confused?
Yeah, Richard Linklater. That's how Slacker is.
Exactly. That's exactly how Slacker is. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Oh, I think that might be the name of the improv game, and I didn't realize that was why. It was called
Aha!
Slacker.
We're all learning things.
So many things. But
this book is kind of like a much busier Slacker.
All right, so you're doing this stuff. It's going back and forth. What was the hardest part, though? Like, there had to be one part you guys hated the most out of all of it.
I guess for me, I was slowly creating all these backgrounds, and then I was going to create all the characters and sort of like puppet them in, and we could move them all around and whatever. But it got down to like crunch time, and I had 1 month with so much stuff to do, and I was just drawing every day, night and day for this deadline, and I actually got tennis elbow from it. So that was the most painful part, like actually physically.
No one's ever had that answer. That's great. Literally, you were
Like,
physically injured during the book process.
Pain. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's tough.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, Chelsea. Were you injured? Did you go through anything difficult?
No, I wasn't. Yeah, I think I had a chill time writing.
You did pull an all-nighter though.
Yeah, I did pull like, I think just like the way that my writing process is I like think about it constantly and like obsessively for a really long time without sitting down and actually writing it. And then I think I pulled like, I like took a weekend. I think that was part of like, also we were like working like full-time jobs, or like you were freelancing part of it, and like, but like took a weekend and just like pulled an all-nighter and like wrote the outline, and like yeah, I mean, but like I like that, like I find it fun even though it like is painful. Or like, I don't know, it's
you
like
pulling an all-nighter.
Well, I don't know, I think like getting in like writing something that you're like really enjoying writing, even if it's just like, I think getting that first draft is always like the most difficult part of being like not perfectionist about it. But I think it also really helped having like doing this project with a friend, because then you can like, one, it's like, oh, I want to like, it's more motivating to be like, I'm going to get this done. And not disappoint someone I care about. But also like having that feedback of being like, is this funny? Am I crazy? And like trusting each other with that, of like, I like having and like respecting each other's, like having similar senses of humor and like respecting each other's opinion, I feel like made it also, even like the really tough parts, it was like, oh, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so that was one of the other things I was curious about. It's like, how did you resolve disagreements? There must have been times when you guys were like, no, like you guys were back and forth about something.
I think we actually didn't disagree on anything.
I think there were a couple times where it was like, oh, actually, I was kind of imagining this animal not as a seal. And I'd be like, shit, but I drew a seal.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, whatever, I can swap his head off. But
oh, yeah, I guess there was that.
That happened a few times. But, I mean, it was funny.
Yeah, I feel like, and it was always like, and it makes you also look at like, oh, is this like actually necessary? Like, oh, this is how I imagined it. Or like you, for like the Uber scene, you put her in the front seat, and then it actually ended up, and it wasn't what was written, and then we were like, oh, no one gets in the front seat of an Uber, and then, but it was actually really funny, and we ended up putting that as part of the like storyline, and like I think it actually made it richer to have it there. But
It was a happy. It was a
I hope
happy
I didn't
accident.
I hope I didn't just out you on that. But I thought it was cool. Like
Yeah.
I liked how, like, I feel like that's not I don't know, it's just like not a disagreement. It was like, oh, this is funny and it looks cool and like whatever, and we'll make it work.
Or like I had drawn the farmer's market, and I think I had someone selling something completely forgettable, and Chelsea was like, wait, can he be selling deconstructed mayo? And I'm like, is that a bowl of eggs? And she was like, yes. So
Done.
that was pretty great.
So you guys collaborated. So and just made things work. That's awesome. So why did you decide to draw the characters as animals instead of people? Because I was having trouble
Really?
identifying with bears and lambs because I've eaten them, right? And
You've eaten bears?
Yes. No, I haven't eaten bears.
Oh.
Maybe.
Like, how did you find bear
I don't
meat?
know. We've probably eaten all kinds of weird things in our lives without knowing it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you
But
don't
you
eat
can-
meat.
But you can identify with an animal even if
What's
you've
in a hot
eaten it.
dog?
I mean, there's lots of different things in hot dogs.
Bear dog.
Bears. But I feel like bears would be a lot of money for a hot dog.
I have discerning tastes.
I'm just saying, like, bears would be an expensive
It's true.
meat, I would think.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
You have to wrestle.
Yeah.
All right. You may have poked a hole in my bear
Take 'em down
theory,
with your bare hands.
but some of the other animals
Oh,
I
yeah.
have probably eaten, and it was just interesting. You chose to personify them and do animals instead of people, because you could have just drawn people everywhere, right?
True.
Yeah.
So
We
why'd you
have
do
One
animals?
scene where there's a pig really sad by a butcher, so he's identifying with what you're pointing out, which is that there's a major flaw in the whole book. But yeah, I think as Chelsea said before, it kind of makes the whole our whole gist of like meaningless work and toiling even funnier because it's these cute animals. If it's people, it's almost too sad.
Oh,
If you put your sadness on animals, it becomes cute. And not. I don't know. And also, like, oh, sorry. So I was the animals editor for BuzzFeed for a while, and people,
tell me what that is.
you write like funny things with using animals to illustrate the human experience, or just like make someone's day better. I feel like
Yeah.
the shorthand is just like my job is to make people's days better.
Well, that's kind of what this is a little bit. That first part of what you said, right? Using animals to illustrate the human experience.
Yeah, and I think like animals, I mean, people put a lot, I mean, animals do have like their own emotions and like internal lives, but I think also humans put their own, they like anthropomorphize them, but I
Mhm.
think it's a way of expressing themselves, and in a way that I think makes people more empathetic and potentially nicer to each other. And it's just like an easier way to express emotion if it's not directly on something that looks like you
Mhm.
necessarily, because you're like, I'm not having a bad day, or like I'm not gonna, some people might, but like on Facebook, not gonna be like, I like have existential dread, but like you might share an article about like animals that do,
Right.
and then you're sharing that about yourself without people being like, are you okay, Susan?
Mm-hmm.
So that's, yeah.
Right.
I know, but I feel like this is what this book is too, where you have that. And also like Mary's drawings are just like awesome. So
yeah,
it's like,
they are completely amazing.
yeah, and you can get so many, like she gets so much emotion out of like all of like the
A
drawings.
koala.
Yeah.
You know.
And like I knew he is very sad, but like I knew the two characters were your parents.
Oh yeah. The koalas are my parents, and they're wearing like both of their favorite outfits. And I showed it to them, and their reaction was like, Mary.
Wow. So you must be on good terms with them then, if you can.
Yeah. They
you can
don't
do that.
understand me at all, but they're like, we're so proud of you.
Look at our daughter go.
What are you doing these days? We have no idea.
The answer is yogurt.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm
it's just
working
one-
yogurt
one word.
currently. Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
Sweet probiotics.
So this book takes place in DG.
Digi
I was hoping it rhymed with Fiji, but probably not. Digi Valley. So where is this magical place, and when does the book take place?
probably takes place like this year.
Wow, like
Or
right
last
now?
year.
Does the book take place right now?
Yeah.
It's currently happening.
Somewhere outside Minneapolis. I don't know why.
Yeah. It's sort of based on San Francisco and Brooklyn combined. Like the buildings are a lot of them based on buildings in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, and the commerce that happens is something that you would see in like San Francisco with all the startups and the coffee shops and like DJ baby school, like ridiculous stuff no one needs.
Yeah. Okay. That's funny because I went to school in Santa Cruz, but I have not really hung out in San Francisco for a long time. So I might not know all of that. And so that's kind of part of my next question, which is like, okay, the book is obviously satire. You're making fun of these people because they're ridiculous, but you picked like this very particular group of people to make fun of, right? Like you can satirize anyone. There are like every group in the country can be satirized if you want to. So why did you decide to satirize these people? Why San Francisco? Why Brooklyn? Do you think that maybe their lifestyle was easier or others? Either easier than others, or
I think it's
how'd you end up
it's
there?
like it's our lifestyle. We're like making
Oh,
fun of ourselves a lot here. I definitely have camped out at coffee shops like everyone in that book does, and like been so bored at laundromats trying to work in them. No one should do that. But yeah, the choices we make and the places we choose to live definitely make us part of that genre of person.
Yeah, and like looking for apartments, which you're doing right now. And like you have like there's like this specific experience of being in a city like this and being like, why am I think like especially looking for apartments really makes you wonder what the hell you're doing with your life, because you're like, I could like own a fucking house. I'm sorry if I'm not allowed to.
you can say any words
Can
you
I
want.
swear
This is
here?
explicit. You sure can.
But like you can own a house somewhere and like not, and you that would be like cool and chill.
You could own a mansion
Yeah.
in Laramie, Wyoming, if you
Yeah.
wanted to,
I could do that
with
maybe.
no friends.
Yeah, well maybe I'd make friends.
Oh,
But I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know anything about it. But like no, like when you go apartment hunting, you're like, oh shit, like it's literally a room and you want like a 20% broker fee for opening the door of the shithole that you just showed me.
Yeah.
I literally had um I had a broker tell me after walking into an apartment that was like a 45-degree angle. And is this 45 degrees?
Yes.
Yeah.
For those
there
of
we
you
go.
watching at home, she's doing the 45.
And it was like, I'm not even exaggerating that it was, because like all apartments in New York like are a little bit, if you put a bowling ball on them, they would roll. And like that's standard, not a big deal. It's usually
Nah.
imperceptible. But this apartment was literally 45 degrees. And this realtor, like honestly, God bless him, because he was like trying so hard. He like showed up in a yellow like VW bug, like, and like kind of looked like Mr. Bean, and like came upstairs. But he was like told this like long story about how this family once lived under a bridge, and like the bridge would go up and down, and eventually they got used to it. And I was like, but you're also, this apartment's like $2,000 a month.
Not a bridge.
You're paying for the privilege of getting used to it.
Yeah. And then he was like, oh, you can also get like furniture to accommodate it. And I was like, this apartment shouldn't be, like, I was like, this is so expensive for this apartment. Anyways, so that's our lives. That we're just mostly, I mean, this was just therapeutic maybe to write.
Yeah, maybe that's it, right? Instead of posting on Facebook.
Yeah, I just wrote a book and drew
Yeah.
drew our feelings.
I mean, yeah, so talking about feelings, right? The book, there's a lot of like loneliness and separation in the book, I feel like. So I don't know if this is you guys or this is just some other friend that we don't have to talk about. But there's definitely
a lot of it was written in the dead of winter.
Yeah, that is true.
when everyone in New York disappears.
But I think like both of us have kind of, I don't know, morbid sense of humor, but like, or like realistic too, and it doesn't, I think it can come across as depressing, but I think we both just find it funny because it's just a human experience. And I think with like that separation and stuff, that I think people just feel that way in general, and I think the internet can like alleviate some of it because there's communities online, but then also exasperate it because you can like go online and like be in your own head and then like look up and be like, oh my god, I'm still alone, and like you're not actually around anyone.
I actually had a really weird experience while working on this. And since I've gone freelance, where I realized like 2 days had passed and I hadn't left my apartment. And I was like,
Wow.
whoa, I wonder how long I could go without noticing. This is messed up. But yeah, apparently I'm fine with being alone until I think about it.
I've definitely gone through that too, actually, because I work from home for my day job, and then I've got all sorts of other stuff going on. So it's if you're not careful, especially in the winter,
Yeah.
it's like you look. Why would you want to go outside? What reason? Like we have everything available to us at the press of a button.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I order my toilet paper online. It's a mess.
No, it's very clean. That's the
Yeah, I
idea.
was like, or everything's a mess. So I have to.
Solving problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about reality TV, because there's a whole bunch of reality TV stuff in here. So I'm guessing you guys are secretly reality TV stars. I'm honored to be interviewing you. So there,
Thank you for noticing.
yeah, it was the glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so there's this reality show, Cat Landlord. It's all over the book. There's like 4 or 5 like pages, whatever, dedicated to it, and
Oh man, I guess we did do a lot.
yeah, like it was there.
We
I
just
mean-
really liked the character name. It was one of the first characters we came up with.
And then we immediately bought catlandlord.com.
Did you really?
Yeah, there's nothing on it, but
One day.
soon.
Yeah. I think you should definitely start monetizing that ASAP.
Yeah. It'll be just web banners.
Yeah.
It should just. I'm sure you can find streams of like just cats wandering around. Just like create like a 16 by 16 square, and like each one of them is just a different cat wandering around somewhere.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and you would get millions of views.
Yeah.
You could just throw it out. I don't know. What are we doing here with our lives?
Unclear.
We could be making websites.
Yeah.
Okay, but so besides the actual, so what is Cat Landlord though? Tell everyone about it.
Cat Landlord is a reality TV show about a cat who is a landlord. I feel like it's also probably pretty obvious it was one of the first characters because he's the only one with a what animal he has in his name. But he also we have I think we ended up not including it, but he has a real name that I can't remember now. But yeah,
It's kind of like a combination of like, what was that? Extreme Makeover Home Edition
Mhm.
and Big Brother and I don't know, probably
John and 8 plus
John and Kate plus
yeah.
8.
Oh, and the Duggar family, which like yikes.
Yeah. So he like does remodels, he builds stuff. He also owns lots of property around Digi Valley, and he has a tenant every season, and that is like his interaction with them is what the show is.
Yeah, and there's also like kind of camera on him, right, doing stuff, and then he has sort of like this like Kim Kardashian character that's involved with him as
He has
well.
a super hot girlfriend.
Yeah,
Plamela.
Plamela. That was good.
Um,
Yeah, so you get like really decided to like harp on that for a while. Is my sense, and it's just do you feel like it's just so ripe for making fun of? Do you think it's because I think that everyone deals with that. TV is something everyone has, so we all see the ridiculousness of TV. So that was
Yeah.
just interesting.
So this is like a show that we fully built up in our brains, and then we made everyone who lives in Digi Valley, this is like the one show they all watch. So like it's so meaningless, it's so stupid, and everyone loves it, and everywhere you look there's ads for it also. It's kind of just like representative of like how we can all be obsessed with the celebrity culture that's so weird, but like because it's there we are.
Mhm.
So that's part of it. And also like he's a cute cat.
yeah.
That's the more obvious part, obviously.
And we like also wanted to like talk about too of like it is like a legit business. Like Pamela hustles, and I think it's like this weird. It's like the most modern job to have of being like I just exist, but my whole life is existing, and I like figured out how to like make a shit ton of money. Like that's just like I think that's also how I don't know. I think there's like that's a very like existential like what are we doing? like what is life?
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like a lot of reality TV is designed to make it seem like that's what's happening, but maybe behind the scenes, it's actually not. Like everything is very carefully, from what I know,
Oh yeah.
a lot of things are very carefully scripted. Like So it's not just like there's a camera following me around, sitting by the pool, arguing with my cat landlord boyfriend or whatever. It's like, okay, today you're gonna have an issue with your hair, and tomorrow, like, you are gonna run someone over with the car accidentally, and we're gonna have to solve. You know what I mean? So I
Have you
feel like
watched that
it's
show
not quite.
Unreal?
What's that?
Have you watched the show Unreal?
No.
It's like the most meta thing ever, but it's a show about the behind the scenes of a show like The Bachelor,
Mm-hmm.
based on this woman's like real experience as a producer for the show. It's like it's a great show, but it's like the most meta thing ever. And basically everything you are saying is what happens.
Oh, I better get on that.
Yeah.
Someone took my idea. So now that we've deconstructed reality TV, everyone go watch Unreal, and we'll come back and talk about it with some pie. So you then you proceed to take on trolls, right? Trolls are everywhere and nowhere all at once, which is why they're so scary. Anyway, so I was just curious about your like personal experience with them. Have you guys ever dealt with trolls? Are there ways we can solve this problem?
I was personally attacked by the Bajancy, a very, very strong troll army.
Mm.
There was a very big misunderstanding because I'm a huge Beyonce fan. But I wrote like a joke animal post. Didn't have to do with Beyonce, but it did have to do with a panda who I thought took a very feminist stance by pretending to be pregnant so she could get treats at the zoo. I wrote like, it was like a post that like I didn't think anyone would read. It was like for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was when Beyonce said that I had like pose in front of the feminist thing. So I was like, oh, cool. I can like Photoshop a panda on it. They thought that I was accusing Beyonce of faking her pregnancy, and they got really mad. And this was like 2 years after she had Blue, which is just, and they were very, very mean. Eventually, one of my coworkers like called them off because he's very big in the Bajancy community.
Wow.
But I feel like that one was weird because it was like I looked at one of the people's profiles of like that were like, go kill yourself. And like her next tweet was like, just chilling with Bae, and like being completely normal. And which is like, that's a weird tweet, but like that like was talking about her normal life. And I feel like that kind of like sums up trolls.
It's like maybe they don't even understand the words that they're just kind of like someone's saying something, I'll say it too, and then I'm going to say something over here and look at that. Like there's no thought behind it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's like pent up aggression, and then that like can get like, I think in that case it wasn't that scary, but I think we see like trolls being scary now. But I think, I don't know. It's like a complicated when people have the opportunity to not be anonymous or to be anonymous. I think they can let out a lot of frustration that like might be misguided, but I don't know. It's weird. Sorry, I just got real serious for trolls,
It's all good.
but that's like,
I
feel
have
like
to.
it's
I
like,
want to understand, because this is such a big phenomenon. Like there's just people are terrorized and hurt, and people have committed suicide. Like crazy shit has happened.
It is like, I think people have always been mean and nasty, but I think that not having their faces attached to it feels like a carte blanche to people, and then they don't see that they're hurting someone on the other end of it, versus like I feel like most people have had experience like when they're little, where like they say something mean to somebody and not realizing that it was mean, and then you see that, like, I don't know, like I have a memory of being like mean to someone once when I was like 8. And like, I don't even remember what I said, but I remember not thinking it was mean, seeing the person's face and being like, oh my God, that was mean. And like still to this day, 20 years later, feeling so bad about something I don't even remember. I just remember being like not realizing it was mean. And I feel like if you don't, I don't know, maybe that's sorry, I'm just like rambling now, but I'm like, if you don't have that, then like maybe people don't learn that. But there's the thing is, as I say that, and there's like grown ass people who like have had all those interactions. Like trolls aren't 8-year-olds that aren't learning. They're like grown ups that are terrorizing people, and like, I don't know.
I mean, some of them might be 8-year-olds.
Some
to
of
be
them
fair,
might. Yeah, that's true.
Which is crazy to think about, because at least, I mean, you guys maybe are a little younger, but when I was 8, definitely not an option. I could not troll anybody anonymously if I tried.
But also even like, you probably wouldn't even be that mean. Like I'm sure like whatever I said was like at 8 was like,
Your shirt looks dumb or something.
Yeah, or I don't even think you know what it was. It was a Billy. Now that I remember, it was a Billy Madison quote, and I said, "Stop looking at me, Swan," because I thought it was funny because it was funny in the movie. And I'm sorry, Lauren, for saying that to you.
Wow, we're really getting a lot out
I
here.
don't remember if she was. I don't think her name was Lauren.
I charge by the hour
Oh,
for
I
my
know,
therapy
shit.
session. Yeah, what do you think, Mary?
I guess people probably think it's fun to troll, but maybe it is. I don't know. I've never tried.
You've never tried?
No. I
If
mean,
you could troll anyone, who would you troll?
I mean, probably the current president.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's an easy target.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
I feel like
It's more fun to IRL just like prank people.
Ooh,
to
okay.
troll.
I want to hear a prank story then from
I
you.
mean,
You can't
mostly
bring that
I'm
up without a
I know.
prank.
Mostly, I'm inspired by Chelsea's pranks because she pulls off very
Ooh.
elaborate ones.
Wow.
But it's not mean. What mean?
Well,
Some of them are scary.
You have to say one now.
Well, I feel like if you don't know the whole context, it comes across as really mean. But my fiance and I sent doll heads to one of his best friends for like over a couple years, like once a month anonymously. But it started off as like it would only last for 6 months, and we like would tell him like and whatever because we picked it carefully because we knew it was someone that like wouldn't freak out but wouldn't like also not care. Like it was like an in-between person that would be like, this is weird, and then like move on. But so you have to pick who you're pranking because otherwise, because one of my friends, it turned into like a double prank where because we had him sent, it was very elaborate. I don't know if you want to get into the whole thing.
It's fine, but I think what was interesting of what you just said was like you wanted to find someone that wouldn't react too much or too little, like a Goldilocks kind of situation.
Yeah.
But to me, I would want a reaction. Like, what's the point of pranking someone if they're just going to be like, all right.
Because it's funny. Because I think like it's not to make someone feel bad.
No, but you could prank them to like confuse them for a bit or make them happy.
Well, I knew he'd be confused.
Okay, so
the point
you
was
did get that.
The point was confusion.
Okay, well, thank goodness.
But not sadness.
Yeah, because it was like a really murdery prank.
Which I didn't realize at the time, and then in retrospect was like, oh, because we stopped it for a while.
A serial killer might do this.
Yeah. Because like when he was having a bad time, we stopped it for a while because we were like, oh, we don't want to exasperate it. And then we realized later that just prolonged the prank and made it worse. Now I'm just really coming across as a huge asshole.
It's okay. No more than the rest of us. So you had a great line that I loved when you wrote, once you hit 30, you're basically dead. And I love it because I'm over 30, so I'm basically dead. So, it's hilarious, but it sadly speaks to ageism, right? Which is actually a real thing. And I was just wondering like about your experiences with ageism and as you get older, what do you think is going to happen to you guys and sort of how do we get out of this mess that like especially these tech communities in San Francisco and New York have created?
Yikes.
Yeah, we're both. Well, I'm turning 30 in 2 months, which is crazy.
Whoa.
And I was kind of feeling like I was nearing death. I also have been working in creative communities, and it always seems like if you don't accomplish things by a certain time, then you're not going to be on a 30 under 30 list and all this stuff. That age thing seems to really matter for some reason, but I also think that doesn't give everyone enough credit because a lot of your best work is going to come as you mature and change. But I do think now turning 30 seems pretty awesome because there's so much less to worry about. When you're 20s, you're freaking out about everything and just how to be an adult. And I do think, I don't know. Of course, we're going to be constantly wondering what the teens are up to. I'm what's cool? Who knows a teen? Because they're just representative of whatever's the brand new thing is. I made my sister teach me Snapchat because I was it looks really fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess that's my thoughts on aging, right? That's a lot also.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I don't know. Aging is weird, I guess. I mean, I feel like also so much stuff is geared towards teens because advertisers are trying to get new lifetime consumers. And so it's like I still use herbal essences because they got me as a teen.
Ooh.
I mean, I
You're
don't
hooked.
always use it, but like I just bought it again, and I'm always like, it's still good. But this isn't an herbal essences ad. Damn it. See, now they really got me. But I feel like that's where like some of that like obsession like stems from, and then you like there's like an actual cultural impact. But I mean, people renew themselves all the time. Like my mom started going to law school when she was 50, or
Wow.
she graduated. No, yeah, she started going when she was 50, and like I don't know,
You can do it now.
you can do whatever you want.
Aw.
Yeah, but it is like a good like you can always reinvent yourself, and I feel like it always feels like daunting, especially because it's like everyone's obsessed with age and like the 30 under 30, but who cares?
Who cares?
You
That's
spend
right.
too much time
So,
thinking about it.
so your birthday's in November
October. I am bad at calendars.
because my birthday's in 2 months, and I was okay.
Oh,
But
okay,
it's in
yeah.
Happy
October.
birthday.
I'm a Scorpio.
Oh,
What
okay,
about
we're
you?
both Scorpios. That's cool.
Cool. We're both gonna remember everything forever.
Yay! Just like elephants.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, you hold grudges for like a real long time.
Oh.
which-
Just against people that prank you.
yeah. So don't do it.
See, I wouldn't prank you, I don't think. Maybe.
She's looking
Something
at
small.
Mary and not me, indicating she will prank me
Well, I feel like people now would know that it's me. So it's like, you know.
because you're the only pranker. What does that mean?
I don't know. I just feel like
Or you have a style?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I would be nervous that it would just ruin the prank because you would know right away it was me.
Yeah, that's true. I don't have that many friends, so I'd be like, "Who sent me this bag of mush or whatever?" I would
Great
probably
prank,
immediately
a
think
bag
it
of
was
mush.
Chelsea.
Bag of mush.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so you next attempted to physically represent the mysterious cloud, which I loved because there was a web surfing koala. He's the best. Where is the cloud? I really want to know.
We don't know either.
Are you
That's
sure?
just exactly what it looks like, but we don't know where it is.
Okay, describe the
Nobody
illustration.
knows.
So it's like a big cloud in the sky or underground. I don't know. And inside are like all these little objects floating around, like likes and a koala surfing by, and pictures of people's butts and sexts and like all of your folders of information, all of your Google Docs through all time.
Forever.
Yeah.
It's all there,
Yeah.
which is kind of nuts, right? Like, do you think at some point they'll have to stop? I mean, so I know there's like a limit on how much you can store or whatever, but you can spend money to increase that every month.
Yeah.
So does that mean until
pay
the end
for
of
it.
time? Right. Like you pay
Yeah,
more for more. Does that
which
mean that
ends
like,
up like making you a digital hoarder.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. Yeah, I'm very curious. Like my grandpa kept like years worth of Word docs on his computer that we found. And I'm really curious if when I die, my family's going to find all these weird Google Docs that mean
Yeah.
nothing. Or like where they're going to go.
Not to get super morbid, but there are digital wills now.
do you
that-
have one?
No.
But what do you do?
I don't know. I guess like Facebook just is like, sorry, you dead. And then they're like, I don't know what happens. But I think like the digital will is to like who gets your passwords. and,
Interesting.
like,
Well,
who
wait, so,
can
but
own
then
your-
how does the password
music.
get transmitted? So it's like you contact Facebook and show them this digital will, and then Facebook hooks whoever up, your next of kin.
You know what? I'm not sure how it works.
Okay,
'cause
we'll have
I'm
to
a
look into
lazy
that.
millennial. That
Yeah.
was just like, I don't know.
We're never gonna die.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Just put me in one of those.
Just freeze me. Yeah,
just freeze me.
cryogenics. Let's do it.
Shoot me into space.
Once again, so Cat Landlord, I thought was prominent. You also do office life, I think, pretty prominently. There's like several pages about office life in different situations, including one that I ran into in real life, which I'll talk about in a sec. Like literally something in your book and something that happened or was like the exact same. And I was like, this is amazing. Okay, but
Wait, which was it?
okay, it was the. I don't think this person is ever going to listen to this podcast. So it was the one where you had there was an illustration where you had kids in an office situation, basically like a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. And okay, so you guys describe that, and then I'll tell
Yeah,
the connection.
we have a focus group happening between two teen influencers who are like famous and just paid for existing, and then like a whole bunch of adults trying to figure out what they're into so that they can make, I guess, ads or just know what they're into so they'll be better at business.
Be relevant.
Yeah.
So this actually happens. And I found this out because I talked to someone that works for a company that they produce a content exclusively for a social media platform. And this social media platform is designed for kids. And because they produce content for kids, they bring in kids in their teens and younger and basically sit there and ask them the same thing. Like, what do you think of this? What's cool? What are you guys up to these days? And they pay them. And it's like, it's literally, she was describing this and I was like, this is literally what they were talking about in the book that I just read 2 days ago. Like, what are the odds?
It's absurd. Yeah, that happened to me for real too. I worked on some stuff that was geared towards teens, and we not only paid teen influencers like more money than I've ever seen in my life just to like do some social posts. They work hard, but I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And then we also did like focus groups with teens, and I thought it was really interesting because I was like, what do you guys, I'm obsessed with knowing what they're up to. I was like, what are you guys up to? What do you watch on TV? And they're like, we don't watch stuff on TV. We watch Netflix and we watch Friends and we watch Arrested Development. I was like, what?
Those are adult shows.
Thanks.
Yeah, those are good teens.
We have a lot to talk about actually. But yeah, it's really funny. I think they only got paid like $50, but still.
That's $50.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not paying rent.
Yeah, that's true.
Lucky.
Yeah, teens.
Okay, so, but what I wanted to ask though about office life, so there's lots of different parts of office life. You have like, you make fun of open plan seating and kind of random meetings. But you do point out specifically on that page about the gender pay gap. And you mentioned that there's like a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old and they're doing the same thing and the girl gets less than the guy because of course she's a girl. So I was just curious about that, and I'm sure you guys, being women, have dealt with this. So I want to hear a story or two, and maybe like what you think is. Do you think this is getting better? How are you guys dealing with this?
I do think that in general, there are just less women in executive power positions inside of businesses. And I don't know, like some things I've read have said that's like self-selecting. Like I have chosen to go freelance and not try and do that. But I also think it is still a problem. It's like definitely a system that has existed. And I don't think it's particularly getting better. I actually read that the best time for women was like in the 80s. And because that was kind of the first time stuff was really happening and changing. It feels pretty stagnant right now to me.
What does that mean?
Like
that was the first time things were really happening and changing.
Like you're seeing, I mean, at least in pop culture, I'm thinking of like Working Girl and like,
okay.
Like people are like, yeah, actually, it would be badass if a woman was the CEO of a company that sold stuff to women, or like that makes good sense. And yeah, women choosing to put their careers at the forefront. Yeah, it definitely feels like not a lot is happening, which is really weird because there's so much talk about it. Like Lean In came out and everyone freaked out, and then I don't know about you guys, but I looked around me and I was like, but everything's the same. Like what?
Yeah, there was even like an article that I like laughed to not be sad, I guess. Like I like had like a literal like a guttural laugh when I read it. Like Google had like their like the women were paid a lot less, but I laughed because they just had this whole like thing where they fired the guy for being an asshole and like writing that memo about like just like that.
At Uber or something?
That was at Google.
No, that was at Google, yeah.
And then they fired the guy, which was like good, but like then they also it came out like they weren't paying women as much, and it was just like I don't know. I was just like, oh, kind of course. And I feel like there's so much stuff with like unconscious biases. And, like, you have, like, the thing that I was thinking when you pointed that out, I was like, oh, a really good thing we could have put also in the book is, like,
This keeps happening. We keep thinking of things we should have included.
2.0.
I know. And I was just like, oh, it could have also had, like, her say something in the meeting and everyone ignore it. And then the dude say the same exact thing and everyone being like, that's a great idea.
Yeah, gets all the credit.
And I think, like, I don't know. I think there's spaces that are, like, really good and like are conscious of it, and I think having that dialogue is really positive. And like, but I think
But I do think in a lot of cases, like having the dialogue replaces doing anything.
Mm.
So that
You
is
can
the
only
best
talk for
too.
so long.
Yeah.
yeah.
Or have like events around it. But
Yeah, and then also there's like it turns into a yeah, I don't know, like like Dove does all those. I mean, I guess that's not like that's like women empowerment, but sometimes it's like, wait, what? You're still selling me soap. Yeah, and you're like, oh, like
What is Dove doing?
well, they like I mean,
The
they've
Real
had some
Beauty.
yeah, the real beauty stuff,
Oh,
which is
okay.
like can be fine and like good, and then sometimes it's like but you're still like telling me that like I need a
It's still
product.
consumerism.
Yeah, you're still telling me like I need
You're
this
just
to be
moving
feminine.
with yeah, exactly. You're just kind of moving
But
the goalposts,
yeah,
but playing the same game.
but like yeah, it's just
That was
kind
the
of
one sports metaphor I'm ever gonna make.
that was
so
impressive.
That was
I
pretty
was
good,
like
right?
that
I know
was
nothing about sports.
me neither, but I was like that's makes sense to me. Yeah, I mean I think it's tricky. I think things yeah, I don't know. It's just like there's so many layers to like the pay gap because it's like there's like there's like the pay gap that's like between like there's just like between like white men and white women, but then it's like even worse like when you talk about race stuff it's like even worse. So it's kind of like how there's so many layers to how many fucked up things that there are. But
Yeah.
we don't really have any solutions
Yeah.
either. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, right. If you did, you'd be out doing them.
Yeah.
maybe.
yeah.
if
But-
anyone has any solutions we can
Yeah,
do,
send
let us
'em.
know.
Send them.
Yeah.
The solutions book will be the next book in the series.
Yeah.
It'll be like the perfect world, right? The utopia where everything goes well. But see, that
That'd be
maybe
nice.
the thing is like, would people even want to read that though? Are people interested in like reading in about how things are going great, or is it mostly that people like the Schadenfreude?
Yeah, I feel like it's hard to I don't know. I wouldn't want to read something that's like everything is wonderful and like the world is great because I'd be like, where are you living? Everything's really gone to shit lately.
Yeah.
So I think like I think our goal, a lot of it is just like giving people some levity in it, and obviously it's not like a solution or anything like that, but it's just like yeah, it does suck, and like there are days that you just like kind of need a break and to laugh at problems.
I guess we did try to create a bit of a different reality in this book because we like made a conscious choice to make like the doctor a woman and the CEO a woman and try and put that in there in some places. So there is a bit of utopia in there, but then again, the teens are still being screwed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys multitask?
So much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
I guess because partially like ADD, partially because I constantly have 8 things going on at once by like my own fault. I don't know. I would say a lot of people in our age group and city do this.
Yeah, I think it's also like this weird expectation now to like I also like having like a device that like connects you to everything that you might need, and so you're like, "Oh, I can do my laundry while I write this email." But like I think it's like not always good for your brain to do all those things at once, cuz also like why am I watching TV and then like looking at Twitter?
So, what is the Infinity Circle, and how much fun is parenting?
Infinity Circle is a preschool for special and gifted children, and it's very hard to get into.
And it costs a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't go there, your future's a wreck.
yeah, you're going to be fucked for life. And like death too, cuz like you can't get a good burial plot.
Oh.
That's part, yeah. It's like it's really stressful. But neither of us are parents.
Yet.
But we are parents, I guess, to animals.
We are both currently with child.
We both have had different dreams of having our animals.
Really?
Yeah, we both
Wait,
have
tell
had
me about the
dreams
dreams.
about well, I had a dream I got pregnant and I was like really upset, and then I went for my ultrasound and they're like, it's a kitten, and I was like, dope, I'm keeping it.
What? That's an amazing dream. Okay,
Yeah.
Chelsea.
Oh, I had a dream that I gave birth to my dog, which was a totally normal dream.
I've never heard of anyone having those dreams, and both of you had them.
Yeah.
It must be related to the book.
But
That is odd.
Well, I did read about that, like, those kinds of dreams do have to do with, like, creativity. And, like, also we really like our animals. So I guess, like, that's it. But I don't know. I feel like my dream's more embarrassing because it's real weird.
It's cool and weird.
It's cool.
But yeah, Chelsea's big sister is a fairly new mom, and we get lots of info from her. So
Yeah. Did you consult with her for the book?
Chelsea did. I don't know.
Yeah.
Every time I see her, I get new, interesting info.
I think, like, so my sister just moved from Brooklyn to Denver. And I think the experience as far as, like, what's expected of, like, parents and children here, like, in Brooklyn or in New York, or, like, the culture around, like, elite preschools, which, like, my sister wasn't buying into. Like, she's not someone that, like, gets wrapped up in that crap. But it is stressful because you're like, I want my kid to be in a good, there is, like, the reality of, like, I want to send my kid to a good school, but, like, I also don't want to, like, there's a ridiculous quality to, like, being, like, how expensive and, like, how like the kid has to go through, like, an application process and the kid can't read yet. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But she says Denver is a much nicer place to live.
Okay.
But I think it's just, like, but it is interesting, like, I don't know. I feel like also
I had to take a test to get into preschool.
Did you
And
really?
this was in Dallas.
I think I might
Yeah.
have
Wow.
too.
It was like
What did it involve? Were you pointing at balls? I mean,
I
how
don't
what
remember
test
it
do you
at
take?
all, but my mom told me she was very stressed, and they, like, watched us through two-way mirrors play with blocks. And,
Are you serious?
Like, how we interacted with others.
Wow.
Yeah.
Weird.
That is weird.
I think I had to take I think I had to take tests too, but I don't know how old I was. I think it was, like, to kindergarten. Maybe it was preschool.
I think I did something in elementary school test-wise. I don't know. It's interesting.
so weird to, like,
Adults are always watching you.
and it's weird to, like, judge a kid, like, or any human, but, like, someone that young
Mhm.
on such arbitrary things. And it's like, you don't know what, like you don't know what their skill set is. And, like, I'm sure it's probably really stressful for parents because they're like, this is deciding my kid's future. And it's like, probably not. But, like, I'm sure
Yeah.
it feels that way.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it's also just, like, yeah, I don't know.
What are we even doing with our lives?
Yeah, I don't think anyone, and I think, like, it's cool to be a kid because, like, you should let kids not think about that for as long as possible. And then you give them tests, and then they're like, I got to think about this already? I'm 5.
Okay, so let's talk about more ridiculous things because your book is chock full of them. I would argue two of the most ridiculous things, bars and brunch. You guys attack brutally, as you should. So what's the deal? How are they connected? What's up with these tequila shots? What brand should I be doing? And, I mean, come on. What's more fun, bars or brunch?
Well, we both have kind of gotten to the point where we're feeling so old when we're at either bars or brunch, which is really silly because we're not even 30. But yeah, I would say I prefer drinking at a good friend's house, especially someone with a roof. Yeah.
I think, like, the thing about day drinking after 25 is that it hurts. It makes me sleepy. So I feel like I like bars better, but I like drinking at, like, friends' homes. But, like, I mean, I think, like, the biggest thing, though, it is kind of crazy going from, like, drinking all night and then, like, waking up and then brunch and, like, drinking more. And, like, everyone's hungover. But I think, I don't know. It is, like, yeah, it's a it's a marathon,
like,
not a sprint.
It's definitely, like, one of the number one activities for people in Digi Valley, Brooklyn, and San Francisco. Like, I haven't lived in Digi Valley one day, but I've lived in San Francisco and New York, and I've been so impressed with the amount of drinking people do. I'm like, whoa, I didn't realize this was a drinking city and this was a drinking city.
Yeah.
Because I kind of thought that was, like, college towns, but no, everyone loves it.
It's everywhere. It's
Yeah.
sort of because it's the socially acceptable and allowed drug, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, it's also like, what do you do? Like, and well, I guess now it's kind of replaced. Like, I really like going out to dinner. Like, I feel like that's like my social activity, and that involves drinking.
Yeah.
And then maybe a bar afterwards, but it's usually like, wow, I feel like I do really sound very old. But
But lately I've more been sleeping
I
a
was
lot.
so sleepy. But yeah, I think like it is. I think like one of our favorite parts of like the bar scene was like the dad that brought his kid from and I think you see that like in Park Slope and different parts of Brooklyn, and like I think some people like make fun of the people that do that, but I'm like, no, that makes sense.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I was like, I think that makes sense.
It's kind of chill. Yeah, I like when I see, I think it's cool when I see groups of parents with their kids and they're still doing their thing that they want to do, and they just made the kids come and they're like forcing their children to be friends. I think that's like a great idea.
So you don't see anything wrong with exposing kids to alcohol?
No.
No. Because they're going to get it anyway.
Yeah.
Well, like they do that in like they do that in other countries, and they have less of an alcohol problem than the United States, right?
They introduce it to, it does, it's
Yeah.
not like hidden.
No, it's not hidden,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, here's. I mean, I don't think that like they should be giving like the baby they bring to the bar a full beer.
Like a half
Like
beer,
a
maybe?
half of maybe a half a beer.
Cornita.
Yeah, little
Little
cornita.
cornita for the babies.
That's what those are for, right? My sister's like, you're never watching my son again. I would never. But I don't know. I feel like it's like part of it is like there's like this stage, and especially because there's not really set expectations of what people should be doing at different times. So like there are people that are like, you know, getting married and then also then having kids, or there's like, you know, like I have friends that are like just like doing the whole Tinder thing still, and like doing like there's like all these different parts. Like there's not like a set like we're 30 and everyone should be like married and have a child. So it's like, and I think everyone is just like figuring out what's right for them, and then like figuring out like, oh, like your friend that like has a kid, like they can still come to the bar if they want, and like you're still friends. I don't know. I think it's like kind of cool, but I could see why it's also kind of stressful because you're like, there's no guideline.
Yeah.
But it is weird when bars allow babies but not dogs.
Yeah, that's rude.
All right. Clearly.
Yeah. I mean, like a baby,
It
a
has
dog's not going to cry. It might, and it probably won't pee.
And it's less weird to pet other people's dogs.
than to pet their babies.
Yeah.
I might, in fact, argue that the bars might feel their hands are forced by rules and laws in governing like animals near kitchens and stuff.
The law is wrong. Well, there are some like dog-friendly bars now, but that means
Yeah.
they can't have food.
Or they get like a special permit or something.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. Because I think that's probably the main issue. No animals around the food.
Yeah, but like,
But
Why not?
still, they
What
could
are they
try
gonna
harder.
do?
They could
Yeah.
try harder.
because I mean, if you have like a rambunctious dog, like don't bring it to a restaurant. But just like if you have a rambunctious child, probably don't bring it to the restaurant.
Yeah, but you can't control that. So if your baby's rambunctious, you're not allowed to go out ever?
I mean, you can go out, but just like leave your baby. At home.
Babysitter.
Yeah.
Babysitter. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're getting to these
Yeah.
important issues.
Yeah.
Okay, so you wrote about the park. You wrote that people go to the park to unfortunately vape, your words. What is so unfortunate about vaping?
Are you a vapor?
No.
I actually vape sometimes, but not like cigarette vape.
Oh yeah, it's different.
But the vapes that I see out and about are all like strawberry flavored.
Yes, and
Like-
it's annoying to walk through.
Yeah, it's
I
a
agree.
lot.
Smells bad.
But it's slightly better than cigarette smoke, I think.
But then they do it in bars.
Yeah, and
and
they do
that's
it
like-
everywhere. They feel
you
like they
look-
can do it
yeah,
everywhere.
You
Yeah.
look dumb.
Yeah,
And it smells bad. And
they need to be odorless and less stupid looking.
yeah.
Okay.
They're really stupid looking.
I'm writing this down. We're going to send this off.
But I guess like they kind of deserve to be stupid looking. I don't know.
Fair.
Like, or maybe not. I mean, that's really harsh. I just like.
If you were
Why?
gonna design the ideal product for a bro, would it be the vape?
Yeah. I feel like it would be like, and that would like say like vape so hard on it. But I think, I don't know. I also my biggest thing with it, and I don't want like big vape to come after me, but I feel like it's gonna come out, if it hasn't already, that they're like not that much healthier than cigarettes.
I'm sure they're
The thing
not.
is that you have to like, or you're supposed to be weaning yourself off of the nicotine.
But I
But
know
people
someone that did that, and they're still vaping like a couple years later.
Oh yeah, it's like the
It's-
fixation.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
like,
and
that's
no,
not
it's not.
helpful.
You're not. Yeah, you're deluding yourself.
So it just feels like it's tricking people, and it's making them look silly. But I guess like maybe it's a good like, do I want to hang out with that person? Be like vape.
I'm not. I'm going to be honest. I'm not following
Like I was just like if I saw
like
someone,
criteria.
like if you showed up, yeah, if you were like someone.
If I was
would-
vaping right now, you'd be like, I think this interview's over, and you'd walk. You'd
I
walk
wouldn't
out.
walk away, but we would talk about it afterwards.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Get a talking to.
Well, actually, I might ask you about your. I would.
Yeah.
I would ask about it.
You'd be like, so. Yeah. Well, I asked a
Yeah.
question about it, so yeah, you did ask me about it.
Yeah.
I just thought. I mean, it was. I felt you
Hopefully
had
we
strong opinions, and I wanted to allow you a chance to air them.
Hopefully, we didn't lose our vape audience.
Yeah, the vape.
Come back.
You're gonna get
It's
hit hard by
okay.
the vape trolls.
no.
They're gonna
we
be
might.
all after you.
We might.
The vrolls.
They're probably-
All right. So okay. So you're vaping, and then you get sick probably from all the vaping. So Digi Valley citizens deal with doctors, and there's several pages of doctors there. You mentioned a female doctor. What's the deal with doctors? How do you feel about them?
Oh, they're amazing doctors.
Yeah.
But I think that the citizens of Digi Valley are, they have access to WebMD. Their insurance is confusing. They don't know if they're falling apart. And so they're kind of just like us, always thinking that they're dying. And doctors are really tired of that. And they're like, yo, just take care of yourself and get off the internet.
Yeah.
Or go to med school and learn for real. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But I think there's also like we kind of included it. I mean, this is such a complicated issue that it's like hard to figure out like how to approach it in a silly book, but just like also just for the people that live there, like the stress of like how much is it going to be,
Mhm.
which is a crazy thing to have to worry about. So I think there's like that aspect of it, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Owning a body is really tough
Yeah.
and frustrating.
And renting one.
yeah. Yeah. Visiting other bodies. Yeah.
bodies I've rented.
So all right. So you wrote that. I guess I'll look at Chelsea here. You wrote that we all create meaning in different ways. But both of you, what are your favorite ways to create meaning? What does that mean?
Well, we do talk about this a lot. We're both like very stir crazy and we want to be making things all the time. So that is a big part of it. I don't know why, because it's a lot of times is like, this is potentially just a drawing of a dog eating ice cream only for Chelsea. but
But now it's up in my
but
home.
it exists. Or like just making a stupid video about a joke I think is funny and hoping that my friends enjoy it.
I think like not to get like all philosophical, but I feel like if everything doesn't mean anything, it actually like makes it so you can go and do whatever. Like not what, not like
This
with-
is the Fight Club
yeah,
philosophy.
this is the fight hub. Not like with you don't hurt anybody. Don't be a dick. But like I mean like you can you have liberty to create meaning and things that like feel right to you. So I feel like for us it's like creating things and creating silly things, and it's better to not overthink it.
Mhm.
And that, like and just to do it as long as it's not hurting anybody. But yeah, I think like that's how we create that meaning, and that's what that means of like everyone does it in their own way. And
Yeah.
I think like we satirize a lot of like different types of people and how they create meaning, but like I think again like if you're I'm buying tons and tons of iPhones, which like not for me, but like if that's what helps someone be a better person throughout the day, go for it. I don't know if I understand it, but go for it.
Fair enough. So this is a children's book. Have you thought about whether parents would give it to their children? And if any children happen to listen to this, do you have a message for them?
Oh, the children.
Yeah.
So little. Yeah, I think since neither of us really know any children, we weren't sure if they would like it or not, but we were just checking our Amazon reviews before we came in, and there were 2 really good ones. Not from children, from parents.
Okay.
I hope we get a review from a child. But one woman said, one mom said, this is a great book to read to your kids until they understand what you're saying,
Wow.
which I thought was great.
Yeah.
And another mom said, a book I can read to my kids that doesn't put me to sleep. So I hope that means that when moms and dads are reading this to their children, the pictures are really fun and the storylines are at least kind of funny to them. I think kids have bigger senses of, or like more adult senses of humor than we actually recognize. So I think they will get it. And I also, a big challenge we had for ourselves was to make every page have like a couple of secrets in them. So there's a lot of stuff to be like, if you're a kid like me who just likes to sit at and stare at a book and look at all the art and try and find all the things, it has that for you.
I think the biggest thing was like if you let your kid watch The Simpsons, you can read this book
Yeah.
to your
Are
kid.
you a cool mom or dad?
Yeah, that was basically a nice way of saying, are you cool, mom or dad? Or because like I grew up watching The Simpsons, and I feel like
I didn't.
yeah.
Oh, you were deprived.
So like you might
I
not.
like started watching it when my boyfriend moved in because he loves it. So I'm getting up to speed.
All right. You've
But
season 1.
So like you probably wouldn't have been allowed to read this book as a child, maybe,
Maybe.
or maybe you would have. I mean, I feel like it's also this is like less. I think this is more appropriate than The Simpsons, but it's like a good
It's not like
gauge.
porn. I mean, we're
No.
talking like it's just not like anything crazy in
No.
there. It's just
No swears.
Yeah.
Nothing. I think just like I feel like, or maybe like Bob's Burgers would be a
Yeah.
better example because there's nothing like crude, I guess, in that. Or maybe there is. I don't know.
There are dominatrixes in one episode.
That's true. Well, I feel like, but then if you were a kid, you'd be like, "Who's that in the funny outfit?" and like
Yeah.
move on. So I feel like if it's like that, then you're like, it's fine. But like, because I'm always like, it's whatever the parents. I think it's fine for kids, but like, I'm not gonna tell you how to parent.
yeah. All right. Freedom. So at the end of the book, the Wi-Fi goes out for everybody all at the same time. What would actually happen if that happened here?
Oh man, I feel like everyone would be scared, momentarily relieved, and then realize that everything runs on the internet, and we'd be fucked.
Yeah, this past winter, my internet went out, and I called Optimum over and over, the first time yelling and the second time crying. So
All the
I think
emotions.
it would be something like that.
Yeah. All right. So that sort of wraps up the general questions for the book. Is there anything else that you hoped people would get from the book, or any other lessons or ideas that we haven't really covered?
Yeah, we both agreed that we hope people are comforted when they read this and they kind of realize that there's not that much to worry about because life is meaningless.
Ah,
You can just create your own meaning. It's fine. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And just like, it's okay to laugh at ourselves. Because, like, what else is there to do? Gotta laugh to keep from crying, to keep from screaming at Optimum.
that's a good life lesson. That one I'll remember. Okay. So I always like to do a thunder round, and I'm going to ask you some silly questions about yourselves, and then we'll be done.
Cool.
Cool. What are your favorite foods or drinks?
Cheese.
Cheese. Easy. One word.
Tacos.
Tacos.
Today. Is tacos.
Today.
Yeah.
That's not a food or drink. You had tacos today?
No, like, today I say tacos, but like tomorrow I
it
could say
could be
different food.
anything.
But tacos is most consistent.
Okay.
And bell peppers.
And bell peppers?
I love bell peppers.
Green, red.
Red.
Red, because they're the best ones.
They're the best ones. And did you know they were fruit?
Yes, because they have seeds in them. Anything with seeds must be a fruit.
Yeah.
Avocados, cherries,
And bell peppers.
and bell peppers. Okay.
But tacos is my
I
final
appreciate you
answer.
trying to fool me.
Yeah.
Nice.
No problem.
Okay, what about drinks?
Wine.
Yeah, wine.
Red, white, rosé.
Red.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although orange is very trendy in Brooklyn right now.
Orange?
Yeah.
What makes it orange?
It's like kind of an orangey, like fake rosé thing. I mean, it's fancy.
Don't look at
guess.
me. I have no knowledge of
Yeah.
this.
Does it taste like Fanta?
It kind of tastes like white wine.
Oh.
Mm. If it tasted like Fanta, I might buy it, actually. I kind of like Fanta.
It's just Fanta in a glass and they're charging
Yeah.
you $8.
We're coming up with all the product ideas. Cat Landlord,
Put that in our
Fanta.
book.
Yeah.
Okay, where's your favorite place you've ever been?
Oh, this is romantic. Chelsea and I met in Madrid, so that's
Ooh.
pretty
Yeah.
special.
Puerto
Yeah.
del Sol, right there by the fountain.
Yeah.
We met in
On an airplane?
Madrid Barajas Airport.
Ah,
Yeah.
Mad. The
We-
best. It's the best airport, 3-letter airport ever,
Yeah.
right? Mad.
It's really
Oh,
good.
yeah. She was really mad because the internet went out. Just kidding.
So you guys were both waiting for the same flight or something, or
Oh yeah.
No,
We yeah.
we were
We
doing
locked eyes.
from across the airport?
We were
Time
like,
slowed.
Hola. We studied abroad in Spain and did the same program.
Ah,
Yeah, Madrid is pretty great. I like New York a lot too because I live here, and I've been to Lisbon and I really liked it. Question mark.
voice going up at the end of a sentence. Okay, so my favorite question at the end: if you could wave a magic wand and change any one thing, what would it be and why?
I think I would want. I don't know how this would work, but I would legit want more hours. Just having them.
Okay,
I don't
so
know
like
if
a
that's, like-
36-hour day or
Yeah,
something.
I don't know if it's in the day or to like. No, I don't want to live until I'm 200. That'd be sad. I want everyone to keep keep living too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it would be sad.
But I think it's more hours in the day. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, there's like the personal answer, and then there's like the world answer.
Let's
of
hear them
just,
both.
Like,
You can do two.
well, I mean, the world answer would be just like
Fix it.
fix it. Everything that's bad that's happening. Changing our president would be really nice. No more writer's block. That's a lame.
Ooh,
But that would be
That's
awesome.
pretty good.
That would be pretty
that's
good.
pretty good.
'Cause
For
it-
everyone or just you?
Only.
Because
Only
you would be the
me.
best writer ever then if
I
you
know.
had
no,
that power.
I feel
and no one
like
else.
if I can't ask for that and not give that to every other writer too.
Just me too.
Just Mary and me. Yeah, I don't know. I think I think that would be.
Everyone but your enemies.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh,
So many enemies.
so many. So that was an amazing time. We're gonna wrap it up. The book is called "What Are We Even Doing with Our Lives?" The most honest children's book of all time. Words by Chelsea Marshall, pictures by Mary Dauterman. Chelsea and Mary, thanks so much for coming on and chatting.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Read, Learn, Live. If you liked it, tell a friend and subscribe on iTunes and Google Play. If you hated it, tell a friend and subscribe on iTunes and Google Play. And so it goes.